let me record it for the people who are not joining. I believe. Okay. So in module 6, it's a shortest chapter, but it's very practical in nature. And at least for the analyst and decision maker, it helps you to understand the processes, how to tweak them so it becomes practical, and you use them for the benefit of yours. Yeah, see, Subodh has come. So Anchika ने लिखा नहीं क्यों आ गया? Perfect. So
लिखा सर, लिखा बराबर से उनको टैग करके
yeah, so now he's here. We said that how we can start without Subodh ji. कोई तो चाहिए जो क्वेश्चन पूछे. Subodh ji, are you there? कि केवल ज्वाइन हो गए हो? Okay, so coming back, most countries have, a cultural aspect, or they will have their own processes. For example, if I am talking about social, I have to make sure that I am covering the Indian Ministry of Manpower laws or labor laws, right? If I'm talking about environmental, of course, you have now CCTS, CEA, you have Ministry of Environmental and Forestry and Climate, right? Climate. It's a climate change, right? CC for last is for climate change. Correct, Subodhji? MOEFCC. काफी बड़ा लंबा नाम कर दिया.
Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change.
Climate change, ना? हाँ,
Yes.
change आ गया है. So point is this, that we need to cover those part specifically for ESG factors so that all your recommendation becomes effective and useful for driving that change, so that there is engagement with your party, specifically the investee company or the company who is implementing the ESG transition, and they become leader in their own area. And that's how you become steward for that company operation. You can be ESG analyst, doesn't matter, or you can be board of director, doesn't matter, as long as you understand the local requirements and you also understand how ESG factors required for opportunity or risk creation for your company. This chapter gets used. Most countries have their non-binding corporate governance code to establish their standards, right? Last chapter, we have learned that. We learned about Australia, we learned about Japan, we learned about, we have taken all the country mostly, right? UK, US, India. So all they have either binding or non-binding corporate governance code, which you have to follow, right? And this governance ultimately revolves around people and how they interact with your company operation. Okay. And eventually, what is their accountability here? So these three parts we will be learning throughout the discussion, that what, why, codes, style, effective engagement is called, objective practices, proxy voting, and asset classes. Again, I will repeat the word which last time also I have repeated, that accountability and oversight is what our focus is whenever we talk about engagement and stewardship. Accountability involves sufficient oversight of the management of long-term business benefits. So our outlook is long-term benefit, but we make sure that it is happening, and that's why accountability and oversight comes in play. It encourages and presses management, challenges management, that their decision is happening with efficiency. Because you will be meeting them for 4 times in a year, right? As an analyst or as a decision maker, you might not be meeting on daily basis. So you have a limited time interaction with them. But your responsibility is that you push and you challenge or you encourage the management enough time that they effectively implement that processes which you have given the vision for. Local law and corporate governance codes have evolved, and it will help you going forward. Yeah, specifically in response to a scandal, and we have covered many scandals, didn't we? Right? And several of those you have done the presentation. So all those scandal has created a conducive environment, specifically for engagement and stewardship now. So it can be well deployed. Now, what we need not to forget here is the same thing which we have covered in governance, which was that agency principle tussle or conflict. We need to manage here by engagement and creating a stewardship. That is why we need this chapter in order to manage that governance tussle between a principal and agency, where agency generally is the management of company, where principal is the decision makers or investor in the company, right? So alignment has to be seen. Alignment, like alignment in pay and rewards to the board member, to the employee, to the management, should not be too much far away from each other. They should have some grounding understanding, right? So alignment of management interest always need to be seen, that they are not focused on quarter to quarter performance only. Of course, the stock market only looks for the quarter. They do not wait for what will happen in 5 years down the line. Traders are not worried about it even. And most of the market is driven by traders. Yeah. Even though there are long-term investor, they also approach trader to take this forward. And that is why core tenet of good governance should be, it is your responsibility to put in place, right? Especially make it evident in remuneration practices, yeah, value creation processes. These two areas where you should be engaging for. So are you aware? These two areas, just write it clearly, that you need to engage for the processes, specifically for long-term value creation, and principles behind good governance, specifically related to the remuneration part, so that alignment in the pay and reward is happening. And finally, there has to be enough key committees and codes should be there based on the whatever we have seen evolve over period of time, that you are protected against those kind of eventuality. Yeah, specifically we have learned in governance audit committee and their functionality. Over a period of time, it has improved. Cadbury Code recommended it, which came from United Kingdom, right? The first corporate governance which was written formally was Cadbury Code, right? And it came from UK, which established that you have to have audit committee. There were 3 major outputs there. So do remember those outputs. And one of those was, it was recommended every company should have an audit committee, and it has to have independent directors. It didn't specify what should be the proportion of it, to be exact, which we are following today, which is minimum. What is the, Jaisankarji, what is the nowadays minimum in India? How many independent director is recommended under Indian Company Act? What's the percentage of that?
See, it's anywhere at least 20-25%.
It is up to, I think, 40 to 50%, I believe. 33 to pehle hi tha.
No, it depends on the
listed companies.
Yes,
Listed
yes,
company, yeah.
you have to have a 50%.
50%, yeah. It is 50% now. So 33% before Satyams and all, and now it is 50%. Ki hona
And
chahiye.
so it is means majority stakeholders are the owners, then 50%.
Then
And if
it
there is
is
a mix of directors, then it may be 25 to 30.
33, correct. That's the exact language used in
Yeah.
Indian Company Act.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. So that is how we have developed over a period of time, that no longer it is an audit committee, especially chairman should not be the chairman of company. Okay. That guy has to be independent mostly. So this is how we have shaped over a period of time. Last but not least comes the proxy voting and asset class understanding in this chapter. Proxy voting has been detailed in this chapter in length. The reason is, now there are certain activist investors available, and they do proxy voting on behalf of their retail investor who doesn't have a say in the company. So that also need to be learned and understood. And again, here there are several case studies which we want you to cover. Not several, but I think there are 3 boxes are there which we need to definitely cover. Anchika, ek baar book ko khol lena, please, and let us know that how many case studies specifically we need to cover here. Yeah, or otherwise I will cover. Either you guys, ek baar dekh lena bas. Yeah, so let's go and start looking into this chapter in detail. Okay. So LOA 6 has around 5 learning outcomes. First is that you should explain the key concept relating to stewardship, engagement. Yeah, what exactly these 2 words mean, and how and what and why it is important even. Then chapters also expects from you that you learn that what are those code and standard specifically for engagement styles, right? That how you should meet your independent directors. Independent director has a right to meet outside of the board committee members as well. Yeah, and it is prescribed here. So that is why I say this particular part, people should take a copy and keep it with them if they are board members or they are analysts. Why? Because they can immediately deploy such strategies which are listed in this chapter. Okay. Then, of course, they talk about effective engagement, how it happens, what is the form of that, how you should set the goal, etc. is talked about. So any engagement should become effective. They have given those nuggets, how you can make it effective. Then they have gone inside that how to put an objective, practices, escalation mechanism, collective strategy to make an engagement effective and create a stewardship in your company wherever you are putting your time and effort. Finally, a special consideration of proxy voting and different asset classes require different kind of engagement we will be learning here. Let's start with, first of all, introduction, and that is the definition. So stewardship actually is defined with two words. The first word for stewardship is being active. And second word is towards reflecting the investor fiduciary duty. Then only you will be called as a steward, or you will be creating in a company, which is a noun, stewardship, right? Which defines that, and which is defined as that active and responsible ownership. That is the number one part of it. You have to have an active ownership, which is active and responsible ownership. And second part, that it should reflect that you are taking a fiduciary duty. It should not feel like you are just coming here and enjoying tea, coffee, and going home. You are that company steward, that it means that you have taken a fiduciary duty. Anything goes wrong. And this fiduciary duty is towards whom? Not only towards the board member, but towards all those stakeholders who might not be speaking with the management on daily basis. Are you with me? So two parts you should not forget about the stewardship. The first part is, anyone?
Stakeholders.
Absolute.
Active ownership.
Active and responsible ownership. And second part is fiduciary duty to stakeholders. These are the two parts, right? And that's how you create a stewardship. Engagement, on the other hand, can be defined in two parts again, which is active dialogue. The first part in the engagement is active dialogue. First part in the stewardship is active and responsible ownership. आप ओनर हो, ऐसा आपको ट्रीट करना है. बट व्हेन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट एंगेजमेंट, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट एक्टिव डायलॉग. मतलब यहाँ पे मेरे को ओनरशिप लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. मेरे को इतना कोशिश करना है कि आई एम सीन एज आई एम पुटिंग एफर्ट, एनफ एफर्ट to engage with the other guy. How that can happen? By putting a dialogue, not a monologue which I am putting right now. इसीलिए पुश करता हूं आप लोग कुछ जवाब दे दो, so it becomes a dialogue, right? So point here is, the first point in engagement is active dialogue with the companies wherever you are investing or being an independent director or a board of director. And second, focus on the ESG matter. Again, you should not leave the sight of ESG. All this stewardship and engagement is happening for what? For making sure that that company is following the ESG in essence, in spirit. Yeah, just अच्छा दिखने के लिए और बनने के लिए नहीं यूज करना है. वो वहां पे इम्प्लीमेंट होगा, उसके लिए आपको ये दो वर्ड को अडॉप्ट करना है, दो वर्ड को इम्बाइब करना है, और इसको इवन लर्न करना है, so that you can implement it. Are you with me? So first word was active dialogue with the company, and second word was ESG matter. Are we clear here?
Yes.
ये दोनों वर्ड क्लियर हो गया ना? पूरा बुक ही इसी पे, मतलब पूरा चैप्टर ही इसी पे. Again, let me ask you a question. Stewardship, two words, two different phrases. Tell me that.
Active ownership and
Active ownership
fiduciary
and
duty.
fiduciary duty.
Active ownership, and you should be fiduciary
Fiduciary
linked to
duty to benefits.
Stakeholders.
Stakeholder, beneficiary, whatever, clients. Second one, engagement. May give me that two phrases.
should be
Active dialogue.
you should have
Active
Dialogue.
dialogue with the stakeholder
management.
and
The stakeholders.
Focus
ESG.
on ESG.
ESG
Focus
issue.
should be ESGs. And for why? The reason also you should know. Only one reason persists in sustainability, that you make a positive influence so that they have a positive corporate behavior. Hence, you have a long-term value. Focus कहाँ है? Long-term value. फोकस कहाँ है? लॉन्ग टर्म वाले. कैसे कर रहा हूं? तो ये दो वर्ड यूज करके कर रहा हूं. एंड व्हाट इज दैट आई एम पॉजिटिवली इन्फ्लुएंसिंग द कंपनी बिहेवियर, एंड कंपनी बिहेवियर इवेंचुअली रीचेस टू लॉन्ग टर्म वैल्यू. यहां तक anybody has any doubt? Because that's the crux of this chapter which I wanted to give you upfront itself. कैसे करना है? नाउ वी विल डिस्कस रोल ऑफ स्टूवर्डशिप, पावर ऑफ एंगेजमेंट, रिसोर्स कंस्ट्रेंट. मुश्किल है ना, सब आदमी कर भी नहीं सकेंगे ना. आपके पास तो 4 ही दिन है एज ए बोर्ड ऑफ डायरेक्टर और एज ए एनालिस्ट, राइट? जब कॉल पे वो लोग बुलाएंगे तभी आप आ सकते हो. सो यू हैव सम लिमिटेशंस एज वेल, यू हैव सम एडवांटेजेस एज वेल. बीइंग अ बोर्ड मेंबर और ESG एनालिस्ट, you have a massive advantage. That's why everybody wants to become a ESG analyst. Why? Because not only they drive the company's profitability, but also drive the company board of directors, operations, managing the principal and agency problem. जो पंचायत में सरपंच होता है उसका काम आप जानते हो ना, क्या रहता है? 2 को बिठा के समझाने का, राइट? ये काम एज ए ESG एनालिस्ट अगर आपको मिले तो यू आर द सुपर बॉडी. 4 ही दिन मिलते हैं इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर, बट व्हाई दे आर वैल्यूड सो मच? बिकॉज इन दैट 4 days they have done enough experience, they have enough experience and work that they can improvise your company operation by just meeting that 2 hours, and you can speed up, you can accelerate in your corporate behavior. कैसे करना है? By influencing them positively, by considering ये 4 parts of 2 words. Are you with me? कैसे करना है उस पर भी थोड़ा देख लेते हैं. तो यहाँ पे वोटिंग एक तरीका है. That is why proxy voting becomes an important part in the last section. Voting is very important part. Irrespective of you are sitting inside the board and they are listening, not listening, because you are calling them to guide them, but voting will become that instrument where they will listen to you. So whenever you are sitting in shareholder meeting and voting in public, and that is the public element of a stewardship. जब लोगों को पता चलेगा कि you have taken that active ownership or active or responsible ownership, right? Why? Because you are also taking a fiduciary duty of the investor. Clear? So voting is that one instrument. Second, successful engagement generally and often have this positive and consensual aligning with the company interest. तो आपको देखना क्या है? एक तो वोटिंग का आपने इंस्ट्रूमेंट यूज किया. सेकंड है कि आपका जो रिलेशनशिप है, एंगेजमेंट है, तो ये स्टूवर्डशिप हो गया. पहला पार्ट स्टूवर्डशिप हो गया. सेकंड पार्ट में आपको रिलेशन ऐसा बनाना है कि यू कैन पॉजिटिवली एंड सबको साथ में लेके कंसेंसुअल अलाइनमेंट विद द कंपनी इंटरेस्ट करनी है. देन ओनली अ स्पीड कैन बी गिवन. आप जस्ट इमेजिन करो, अगर आपके पास 10 एरो है और सारे डिफरेंट डायरेक्शन में, कितना भी फोर्स लगाओगे वो एक डायरेक्शन में जाएगा क्या? सब अलग अलग डायरेक्शन में जाएंगे एंड नो रिजल्ट विल हैपन. बट अगर सब आदमी एक ही अलाइंड है और फिर आप फोर्स लगाते हो, तो आपको मालूम है ना, जब बंदूक से गोली निकलती है तो कितनी इंपैक्टफुल होती है कि नहीं होती है? आदमी का डेथ तक हो सकता है. लेकिन वही मैंने अगर क्विवर से एरोज 10 रखे और 10 डायरेक्शन में रखे, कितना भी पीछे तान के छोड़ रहा हूं, इट विल नॉट किल द रावण. Yeah, it will, of course, Ravan has 10 heads, so we need to spread it. But I'm just giving example. It will not kill Kumbhakaran at least. Are you with me or not? So this is how we need to create that focus by engagement. And engagement is that tool where you can get the positive and consensual relationship where we can have an alignment so that both party interest is met. Who is the party here? Company. And their stakeholder. Eventually, company is nothing but their stakeholder. So many market has a stewardship code as well, by the way. Many markets has created such kind of code that what kind of ideal company should be, when they should meet, how the independent director should interact. And from there, this chapter draws the ideas and put it for you to read. resource constraint is there. That also we should know that there is a limited resources which hinder the effectiveness, and that the time is the major limitation. And then you can have 20 portfolio. You are not working means up to 20 you can become independent director, correct? Rajni ji, we can become in 20
Yes, yes,
company independent.
yes, yes.
So you
Means
have
करता
limited.
कम है लोग, लेकिन करता भी है लोग, कुछ तो करता
करते भी हैं और बहुत लोग ऐसे हैं कि एक ही इंडस्ट्री में 20 नहीं लेते हो, 25 है इंडस्ट्री में लेते 20.
हम्म
So that experience again gets diluted. So that is your constraint. So how can you utilize that constraint into your advantage need to be seen. तो फिनटेक से आइडिया निकाल के आईटी वाले में डालने का कि भाई ये वहां पे ये लोग ये भी करते हैं, वहां पे थोड़ा रिस्ट्रिक्शंस हैं. कैन वी यूज दो रिस्ट्रिक्शन इन आवर इन्वायरमेंट इवन दो आई एम अलाउड. एआई की कंपनी है, इथिक्स नहीं काउंट कर रही है, कुछ भी गाली दे रहा है. ग्रॉक है वो, राइट? ग्रॉक इज अनदर एआई कंपनी डेवलप्ड बाय ट्विटर विच गिव्स ऑल काइंड ऑफ बुलशिट्स. उस पर कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है. तो हम जाके उस पे बोर्ड पे बैठ के एलन मस्क को समझा सकते हैं कि भाई देखो, आई एम वर्किंग इन फिनटेक, इतना वहां पे कंट्रोल है, एक शब्द कोई मैनेजमेंट का वो कितना भी इन्फ्लुएंशियल, विजय शेखर शर्मा रहने दो, बट अगर उसने एक शब्द उल्टा बोला तो he will be banned from the market and repercussion will be 2 years. He will be will be disturbed by SEBI, RBI and all these people. Are you with me? So that experience we need to take it there, and that is how the engagement works, and a stewardship you can create. Clear? So engagement strategy can vary. It can be from bottom up. So I will interact with the agencies and then I will build it consensus and then I will talk to board of director. It can be individual company issues which I need to be addressing, or it can be that I'm just talking to the chairman of the board and making sure that he implements whatever I'm saying. Apart from that, a broader sector-based consensus also can be built and you can be a stewardship in that sector. Public policy बोलते हैं उसको BRSR में. There is a principle around public policy, right? So this engagement stewardship has been converted as a principle in BRSR code itself. So आपको हमेशा लिंक करना है सस्टेनेबिलिटी को, अदरवाइज अगर साइलो में रखेंगे ना तो लर्निंग कंप्लीट नहीं होगी. ठीक है? तो दिस पार्ट गोज टू द BRSR का पब्लिक पॉलिसी प्रिंसिपल. क्लियर? नाउ लेट्स स्टार्ट. व्हाट इज इन्वॉल्व्ड एंड व्हाई? So first of all, stewardship specifically encompasses the active ownership, that you become a owner of that company. आपके पास 10% का शेयर रहने दो आपकी कंपनी के पास, and you are the owner of, means you are the investor of that company. Private equity generally owns 10%, right? 10 to 20% max. Correct, Anchika? Whatever your experience with financial markets are. Maximum 20%. Private equity will never own more than that. LIC में आपको अगर आप independent director होंगी रजनी जी, so you know they do not own more than 20% of any company, but they will own thousands of companies. Now that means that I do not have a control, but still under stewardship, I am authorized to actively become the owner of that company. तो किसी ने आपको चैलेंज कर दिया, क्यों आप इस छोटे छोटे मैटर में घुस रहे हो? अरे भाई मैंने स्टूवर्डशिप लेके बैठा हुआ हूँ, मैं ESG लेके चल रही हूँ, राइट? यू कैन टेल देम एंड देन how I will implement, you will not listen to me, no problem. Through voting, I will implement. At the time of voting, I will lobby against all the other, small people, collect them and say them, this is the pertinent issue. I have highlighted them 20 times. This is what has missed in the Gensol. Today, Girish nahi hai, but I am remembering him. This is exactly has been missed. Because previous guy has not done enough due diligence. Is it my fault? I am believing if IRIDA is investing in such a company, that's why I'm becoming independent director, because I trust IRIDA. I don't trust this guy, but I trust IRIDA. Now he has not done due diligence because somebody has taken some money. Am I responsible? Should I lose my life because of the IRIDA? Why I should be exposed? So my duty is that first of all, if I find any loopholes, immediately through voting, I put my points and foot down. ये जरूरी नहीं है. Means even in the code, Indian Company Act, it is very clearly written. जिन्होंने भी किया है IICSA certification, they know. It's very clearly written कि आपको ये जरूरी नहीं है कि जाके सीधा सेबी के पास दौड़ के जाना है, RBI के पास दौड़ के जाना है कि सर ये देखिए इसने हल्ला किया है क्लास में. वो नहीं करना, मॉनिटर नहीं हो आप क्या हो? आप ओनरशिप ले रहे हो उस कंपनी के. तो इट इज योर रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी दैट यू पुट द राइट अप डन. मिनट्स ऑफ मीटिंग में अपना पॉइंट डलवाने का ही डलवाने का। कितने लोगों ने इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टरशिप में किया है ये? किया ही होगा ना, जयशंकर जी, आपने किया होगा।
yes, yes, it's part of it.
आप
इट्स
कैसे
पार्ट ऑफ
चलेगा?
इट।
अदरवाइज द
मेरा
मैनेजमेंट हैव यू चाहिए।
करेक्ट, सॉरी,
यू हैव टू डू इट।
या यू हैव टू डू टू सेफगार्ड योरसेल्फ।
Otherwise, how will you make, you know that management is not on the right track. They are generally private companies में बहुत होता है ये, कि
नॉर्मल
उनके
है। सो
पर्सनल इंटरेस्ट होते हैं, एक ग्रुप
एब्सोल्युटली।
दूसरे ग्रुप से लड़ता है।
तो मेरा काम क्या है कि 43 करोड़ का एक लाइन डलवा देने का, पूछ लेने का उस मीटिंग में कि भाई किधर से पैसे लाया तो इसके लिए, और डलवा देने का वो
या
लाइन।
फिर क्यों पैसे निकाल रहा है, क्यों कंपनी को क्यों नुकसान पहुंचा रहा है, तेरा पर्सनल इंटरेस्ट क्यों है ऊपर कंपनी के इंटरेस्ट से? आपको
If you are gutsy, you will ask that. If you are not gutsy and you do not have support, everybody is his party, then you will at list listed. If you are gutsy, you are doing the stewardship. You are the steward in that company. That's
आपको
the
लोगों की
advantage.
पहचान बनानी।
Your point of view should be put into the minutes of the meeting.
Absolutely. And that is the job of a steward. Are we clear now? Tomorrow, anybody will use such kind of word. We know, of course, we were knowing before as well, but we know now in context of corporate governance and ESG. Don't we? Any confusion here that we will take a fiduciary duty irrespective of whether I have enough for making that decision or not in a company. मतलब independent director की क्या ही हैसियत है apart from being in that voting rights, right? So voting use करके you have to do this. Are you with me? Then focus always has to be long term. कोई आपको challenge उस पे नहीं करना चाहिए कि why are you trivial in your approach. Management is always going to come back to you and say, sir क्या कर रहे हो सर, चाय पियो भूलो। होता है कि नहीं होता है? वो काजू वाला जो बॉक्स रहता है उसको बढ़ा देंगे, अरे खाइए भाई। करते कि नहीं करते? Why you are worried? खाइए please. Yeah, management will always think that you have a short-term vision. You are just guiding them a trivial issue which they know will never happen. It's imaginary. Your time was different. My time is different. I am Gen Z. I am Gen Alpha. Right? I know what I am doing. But my duty is to just let them know, explain them, engage them, become steward for them, right? Still they are not listening, use the voting right and put that matter in the play. Finish. Your fiduciary duty ends there. Your fiduciary doesn't end by just raising the issue. Raising and putting in the right channel is also important. And that's what this chapter talks about. That what is that right channel? We will go step by step, learn that. Yeah, there is a framework available, as I told you, in certain country, it is available for you to use. In India, we follow Indian Company Act as a stewardship framework. This is also not a penalizing clauses are there specifically for independent director. But now the way government is coming back to independent directors and people are losing life, we need to be worried. Okay. The way they are coming behind the independent directors, eventually you will see few of the independent directors will go to jail this time. Slowly it is picking up. आपको बताया जा चुका है, you have been made aware. Now you should not have any excuse that boss मेरे को कंपनी ने नहीं बताया, मेरे को 4 ही दिन मिले, आप नहीं बोल सकते हो अब। वो स्लोली गवर्नमेंट निकाल रही है, उस प्रोसेस से ही निकाल रही है। व्हाई? बिकॉज दे आर मेकिंग मैंडेटरी की इंडक्शन होना चाहिए। डू वी एग्री और नॉट? इट्स अ पार्ट ऑफ इंडियन कंपनी एक्ट। पहले लोग सोचते थे कि बस लिखा है, अब वो मैंडेटरी है, आपको रिपोर्ट करना है कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट इन योर फाइनेंशियल स्टेटमेंट।
They are accountable for it.
Accountable for it, that how many meetings and how many trainings you have conducted for new guy who has joined as independent director. So will you have any excuse tomorrow कि नहीं मेरे को तो मालूम ही नहीं था सर? बोल पाएंगे क्या? और रियलिटी यही है जो मैं आपको बोल रहा हूं। द लास्ट रियलिटी रमेश जी इज दैट आई एम नॉट अवेयर ऑफ इट, दैट दिस ऑल्सो इज एक्सपेक्टेड फ्रॉम मी। 99% दिस हैपेंस। अब वो क्या खाना खा रहा है जेंसॉल में उसका मैनेजर, am I responsible for it? Or eventually you will see that was also your responsibility. It was a part of KPI, which was not given to you as induction, right? So it is now our duty, wherever we join, we should make sure that they give us the induction, give us the proper justification, all the KPIs. I do not want KPI. I need the justification of that KPI. Why me as independent director should be knowing it. And let all board know that I am knowing this and I should be knowing it. Tomorrow they should also not decline कि नहीं आपका तो इसमें इंटरेस्ट होना ही नहीं चाहिए। Correct? So that's the framework system which we are going to learn based on, of course, it's based on the asset value. Yeah, how much you can enhance in that asset. Asset means company investment. Are we planning to sell or buy such asset? Yeah, or am I acting as a responsible owner? So that is stewardship is always about ownership. Then comes the engagement. Engagement is that two parts. Tell me again two parts for the benefit of our latecomer, Mr. Ramesh ji. What was that two part for engagement? इसीलिए बार बार पूछ रहा हूँ.
Active dialogue.
Active dialogue. And the second
The
one is,
management and the board.
sorry, ESG as a focus.
ESG
Yes,
as well.
ESG with the ESG focus.
So these two are part of engagement. Another part of stewardship. What are those two part of stewardship?
Ownership,
One is the active ownership
Active and responsible
and the
ownership.
and fiduciary duty.
Fiduciary duty. These are the two part of stewardship. We are done. So what it involves, there is an exhibit there, which I will bring it next time or in the next slide it is coming. Yeah, which involves that investment approaches and decision. The making decision about where to invest money based on the purpose and mandate has to be clear. As a stewardship, as an owner, if they are making some investment, they are investing in new projects, expanding it, responsibility is yours. Are you with me? पहला वो place है जहां पे आपको अपनी stewardship दिखानी है. The moment they are making a decision where to invest further money, you give to the company. A company invest on your behalf. So it is your responsibility. You take a fiduciary duty of that project and say that what happened to that project. Tell me, give me the details of it. Right? So and what is the purpose of this investment? What is the mandate of this investment, etc. Second, dialogue. Always prefer to have dialogue rather than monologue, which I also do not prefer even in the class. Right? Why? Because having an active discussion between you and me or company and investor always becomes a long-term relationship. Not only for me and you, but for your learning. You are making that relationship with your learning by getting engaged in the dialogue. Clear? Characteristics of high quality delivery includes understanding the company nature, its business model, all this you have to learn. So even though you do 20 industry, okay, you are allowed. Indian Company Act doesn't stop you that if you are expert in fintech, you cannot go to AI tech. You can always go there. But make sure that you understand the business model of that company, its operation, its nature. And ideally, company also prefer to hire people who has little background in their business or industry. होता है कि नहीं होता है? पूछता है कि सर आपका है क्या इस इंडस्ट्री में कुछ एक्सपीरियंस? Correct or wrong?
Yeah. They look at the skills basically.
Absolutely. वो उसके बगैर लेते ही नहीं है. बोलते हैं कि भाई आप कुछ तो दिखा दो. Even though friendly basis पे लेगा, but बोलेगा कुछ तो दिखा दो. बोलता है कि नहीं बोलता है? मतलब मेरे पास तो ऐसे ही लोग आते हैं. तो फिर मुझे ढूंढना पड़ता है 20 साल में कहाँ किसके साथ कौन सा एडवाइजरी इस कंपनी ऐसी कंपनी के साथ किया था एंड देन गिव इट टू देम. सो दिस इज हाउ इट वर्क्स, राइट? व्हिच रिजल्ट्स इन द इन्वेस्टर डिसीजन मेकिंग व्हिच विल बी चेंज्ड and corporate behavior. Always remember the focus is corporate behavior becomes so better that you get the result of long-term value creation. So these are few words, 4-5 words, which we need to put in our notebook, in our laptop, in our iPad, and make sure in this chapter we understand again and again. Okay, now second, there are different quotes and standard and engagement style. Now all this goes to that background which we learned in governance. 2008 financial crisis has revealed that all this Cadbury committee report, UK ka ya FRC, Dodd-Frank, you name it, all of them, even WorldCom के time अंशिका बता रही थी, right? रजनी जी बताई. आप इनरॉन किसने लिया था? इनरॉन सुबोध जी ने लिया था, right?
नहीं, एनरॉन इसने लिया था शायद, अंशिका ने.
अंशिका ने लिया था. नहीं, वो वर्ल्ड कॉम ली थी जितना मुझे याद है. बट एनीवे, सो उस टाइम पे भी एक लॉ आया था. डू यू रिमेम्बर व्हिच लॉ केम आफ्टर?
मेरा सर एनरोन नहीं था, मेरा सत्यम एंड वॉक्सवैगन.
सत्यम था और दूसरा
वॉक्सवैगन था. ओके,
Volkswagen.
करेक्ट करेक्ट, सत्यम भी था. सो सत्यम से मैं कंफ्यूज था कि आपने एनरॉन लिया है. Okay, no problem. What I'm asking you, after that Enron episode, which regulation came in governance? What was the name of the regulation? Sarbanes-Oxley. सॉक,
urban
ऑलवेज
ऐसे
रिमेम्बर, सॉक्स आया था। हाँ, सॉक्स आया था, याद रखने का। वो लेडी आई थी महाराष्ट्र में, सुबोध जी की सिटी में, 2,000 करोड़ का ब्राइब लेके दे के गई थी। और उसके बाद सबको सॉक्स पहना के, जो बोलते हैं ना टोपी पहना के जाना, वो सॉक्स पहना के गई थी। तो
नहीं सर,
दैट
लेकिन महाराष्ट्र में दिया, उसके पहले उसने यूएस में शरद पवार को दे दिया, उसकी बेटी को।
Oh, man, I'm just joking. Yeah. So this is how the corruption happens, and this is how we should remember, right? So coming back to engagement style. So there are different engagement style which has come from these kind of major scandals in our previous time, specifically in 2008. That even those are not sufficient enough. Yeah, because there are technical part of the investment industry as well, which is also getting influenced by non-governance. And that is why investor and board of directors, decision maker, ESG analysts should be aware about such kind of techniques and tools at their disposal. Sir David Walker report has prompted FRC, okay, after 2008 crisis in UK. FRC is that body called Financial Reporting Council. Similar, like you can say, सेबी बोल सकते हैं, आई डोंट नो, सेबी बोल सकते हैं, राइट? सिमिलर टू सेबी। यूके का कौन सा है अभी? अंशिका आई थिंक इज traveling, so he's not there, but otherwise we could have asked her. But Sir Walker, David Walker was that person. I'm just giving you a little background here, that he prepared that report which prompted FRCs to introduce a stewardship code in United Kingdom. So United Kingdom में stewardship code is already applied. Which year? 2010. Who applied it? Sir David Walker का report. Whom he recommended? He recommended FRC, which is similar to SEBI. Okay. So that is how stewardship code has come into play, specifically in UK. India में तो Indian Company Act 2013 है, but we do not have independent stewardship code. So that is why we are going to refer UK model of Sir David Walker. Evolution of stewardship code has not stopped by just he giving a report and FRC adopting it in 2010. Rather, it started with 7 principles. So again, remember this, and we have learned even in governance segment. So this becomes an important piece of that page in CFA preparation that you should be aware about. What is that you have to be aware about? The Sir David Walker report, which has pushed Financial Reporting Council to create a stewardship code, right? Which has a 7 principle. 7 principle. What were those principles? That institutional investor like LIC, Frankel Templeton, all these institutional investor, mutual fund guys, all those who are institutional investor should emphasize on disclosure. It's their duty to ask for disclosure. Which kind of disclosure? Conflict management ka disclosure. Any kind of wrongdoing in the company, they should be pushing management to disclose it. Then they should also put a conflict management and monitoring in place. Third, escalation strategy in place, that if somebody is failing, do we have code of ethics? Do we have whistleblower policy? ये सब आपको डालना है escalation process में, strategies में. And then the action has to be collective. You cannot say only CEO is responsible, CFO is, सारे को बनाओ responsible. करेक्ट रजनी जी, आपने किया होगा जब आप चेयरमैन हो गए, कहीं भी गलती पकड़ी गई तो एक आदमी को डांटने से कोई फायदा नहीं, पूरा डिपार्टमेंट को बताओ कि इन्होंने करेक्ट करके लाना है नेक्स्ट,
very
है कि नहीं है? नहीं तो वो इफेक्टिव नहीं होता ना। एक को बोलोगे तो बोलेगा अच्छा कोई बात नहीं, उसको लगेगा इन्होंने डांटा है, इस कान से सुनो, इस कान से निकाल दो, बट आप पूरे
नहीं, ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता सर, ऐसा नहीं होता।
सही इन द कॉर्पोरेट वर्ल्ड इट इज डिफिकल्ट, आई नो।
हाँ, वो प्राइवेट में तो खैर लाला की दुकान हो जाती है कभी कभी,
वो तो खुद ही सब कर लेते हैं किसी को।
लेकिन वहां भी आप यू कैन बी वेरी असर्टिव व्हाइल हैंडलिंग द थिंग्स, कि करके दिखा भैया, फिर तो देखते हैं हम भी।
No, in private it's possible.
प्राइवेट में लाला की दुकान चलती है भास्कर जी,
Yeah,
लेकिन
it is there. It is there. But the companies
you
which
have to
really
bring
wanted
them to, you have to very politely, gently, or with the speaking skills, you have to bring them to the discussion which Vivek is doing now. बिकॉज उन्हें ईएसजी समझाना अपने आप में बड़ा कष्टकारक है सर।
ये बोलेगा गवर्नेंस तो ट्रिवियल इश्यू है।
नहीं नहीं, मुझे तो मेल डालनी पड़ी सीएस को कि तुम नहीं कर रही हो ये तुम ये काम नहीं कर रही हो, यू हैव टू डू इट, देन द रिस्क मैनेजमेंट वर्क स्टार्टेड। मतलब ऐसा भी करना पड़ता है कभी कभी।
एब्सोल्युटली, वो एक्शन खुद से आपको लेना पड़ेगा।
ये फिर सीएस को
राइट,
जब करो ना, पुश करो कि ये नहीं हो रहा है, रिकॉर्ड में लाने लगो या बोर्ड की मिनट्स में डलवा दो, फिर ये लोग दौड़ने लगते हैं, फिर करते हैं।
absolutely, absolutely, and that's our duty actually. And this is this exact same stewardship code which maintains and mandates that these areas need to be covered, that collective actions should be taken, voting policies should be taken, reporting style should be maintained, right? All this which is listed in the stewardship code of UK.
पर आप कैसे कह रहे हो हमारे यहाँ स्टूवर्डशिप कोड नहीं है? आप कंपनीज एक्ट का देखिए, उसमें सब कुछ
नहीं,
लेट डाउन,
वही बोल रहा हूं मैं,
कैसे
स्टूवर्डशिप कोड
मिनट्स लिखने
इंडिपेंडेंट
हैं,
नहीं है।
कैसे प्रेजेंट करने हैं, बोर्ड का क्या कंडक्ट होना चाहिए, सब कुछ लिखा हुआ है।
इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं है, इंडिपेंडेंट नहीं है। उसी को बाद में 2013 में हमने अडॉप्ट किया हुआ है, वहीं पे आ रहा हूं मैं अभी। ठीक है, 2013 जो हमारी डॉक्यूमेंट इंडिपेंडेंट, सॉरी इंडिपेंडेंट बोल रहा हूँ, इंडियन कंपनी एक्ट 2013 बनी, जब इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर के क्लॉज 100 प्लस के क्लॉज हैं, 100 के ऊपर के सारे क्लॉज इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर 114 के आसपास है, दे स्टार्टेड टेकिंग दिस रिपोर्ट, दे हैव रेफर्ड टू, ऑफ कोर्स कैडबरी कमेटी तो सबने रेफर किया हुआ है, क्योंकि हमारा तो बहुत ओल्ड था ना, इंडियन कंपनी एक्ट विच केम
नहीं नहीं, तो आपका
2015।
ये कहना है कि ये सब जो कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट है फॉर द डायरेक्टर्स एंड फॉर द मैनेजमेंट एंड ये 2013 के बाद आया, राइट?
करेक्ट, नहीं 2010 में यूके में आया था एंड 2020 में इट गॉट चेंज्ड। सो वो भी याद रखिएगा कि कोड रिवीजन हैज हैपेंड इन 2020, 7 प्रिंसिपल को बढ़ा के 12 प्रिंसिपल किया गया 2020 में। अब वो हमने अडॉप्ट नहीं किया है ना, वही बोल रहा हूं, अगर आपको सेपरेट कर देते इंडिपेंडेंट डायरेक्टर के लिए एक स्टूवर्डशिप कोड, नॉट इंडिपेंडेंट, फॉर कोड ऑफ गवर्नेंस सेपरेट कर देते, तो एडवांटेज ये मिलता है कि आप उसको रेगुलरली अपडेट कर सकते हैं, क्योंकि इंडियन कंपनी एक्ट के लिए तो लेजिस्लेटिव बॉडी ने साथ में आके अप्रूव किया है ना, कैबिनेट कमेटी ने अप्रूव किया है,
वो
राइट?
तो कोई भी एक्ट सर कैबिनेट कमेटी के पास
एक्ट ही
जाएगा।
हुई है, एक्ट ही है ना, 1956 या
एक्ट है
57
ना,
का
एक्ट का
था।
रिवीजन का एक प्रोसेस है।
हाँ, रिवीजन का
चाहे आप
प्रोसेस है,
एक्ट
बट
में
वो,
एक लाइन को चेंज करें तो इट विल गो थ्रू द ऑल प्रोसेस।
that is the challenge, that's why you should keep it separate. Yeah, but anyway, I'm not going inside it, I'm not even capable to talk what ministry has done. Yeah, I have not worked on it, so I'm not aware of it. Chartered accountants are the one who are doing it, and they know why they are doing it. But what I'm bringing to your notice today is that CFA preparation recommends that it should be independent body, like in independent code of conduct, like it is right now sitting there. Not governance code, we are not talking about governance code. Governance code is exactly Indian Company Act, but I am saying a stewardship code, which is one step ahead, how to engage, what is allowed, what is not allowed. Up, you will not trust me, but there are more than 20,000 people right now who are certified under ICA to become independent director. And you ask them certain question and they themselves will say, I could not get it. I am not a chartered accountant. I do not get this. They will be confused कि उनकी ड्यूटी कहाँ है और कहाँ नहीं है. Lot of people will get confused. I'm saying again, I'm not putting it across the spectrum, but I'm saying 10-20% even people are like that, are there, then we are done. Right? We need to be worried about it. And that's why if you create a code independent of an Indian Company Act or link it even, right? So what will happen that you can revise it based on the new conspiracy which comes into play. For example, wire fraud, wire card ka fraud, right? You can learn from it and you can implement certain things. And that is how it is happening right now in UK, where they have from 7 principles, they immediately jump to 12 principle, emphasizing practical outcomes rather than a statement of intent. लोगों ने बना के छोड़ दिया, सबने कंपनी में टोन एट द टॉप सेट करके एक डॉक्यूमेंट बना दी, विसल ब्लोअर, कॉर्पोरेट गवर्नेंस एंड डन डील. Instead of that, now there are 12 principles which also ask you that how you are implementing it on ground, who all are getting impacted by it, etc., etc. Right? And that way they were able to integrate the ESG factors faster. Yeah, and ensuring that there is a effective engagement. We will see that the provisions are, we are going to learn those provisions, the core provisions which are now globally available is this is stewardship code based out of UK. Worldwide, they share the common principle now. Or everybody, that's what I'm saying. Even our Indian Company Act has taken inspiration from there and put those disclosure, regular monitoring, engagement, and thoughtful voting rights. But clarity of KPIs is still a prerogative of the company where you are working with. वो engage ही नहीं करेगा आपको certain item में. Even though they know it's completely against the regulation. CS आपके सामने आने ही नहीं देगा वो टॉपिक, वो एजेंडा में ही नहीं डालेगा, मिनट्स में भी डालेगा तो इतने हाई फाई लीगल वर्ड्स यूज करके डालेगा कि आप उसको समझ नहीं पाओगे. Right? So these are the gaps which we need to address. And here comes the stewardship or engagement, where even stewardship code emphasize on the engagement style. For example, if you are a equity shareholder company representative sitting in the board, yeah, you are the equity share, or you are a board holder company's representative sitting on the board, which is rare, but also happens. If companies goes for restructuring, refinancing, etc., you might be seeing a lot of loan providers, board member, they become the board member as well, or they influence the board operations. They are authorized to engage directly with their fund manager or the service providers, right, who is interacting with the company. Again, here, little bit, one layer extra you have to understand that asset owners could be LIC. And they can have their fund manager like HDFC, who will invest on behalf of LIC. LIC सारा premium collect करके कहीं invest करता है, right? Then only they are able to give you bonus shares, etc. So that is the asset owner. LIC is the asset owner which owns the pensions of several company or life insurance of several individuals, and they deploy fund manager, which is, yeah, सबसे best है तो NPS. NPS is the very good example in India. National Pension System is a very good example. There you have 7 or 6 different fund managers, right? You can select anyone. You can select Axis, UTI, HDFC, ICICI, right? Now, NPS need to engage with those asset owners and make sure that the interest of people who are investing, majority, वहाँ तो mix जाता है ना, वहाँ तो सब जा रहे हैं, unstructured वाले, NRI, anyone who is not covered into formal system is going to NPS. So it is now responsibility to NPS to engage these fund managers and tell them that, boss, be careful. Now I have a category of people who can be unemployed because of the AI, right? So you need to engage with your investments across world that AI has ethical part of it. They do not just destroy the human, human employment kind of stuff. I'm just giving one example here, right? Such kind of discussion also need to be done as a asset owner and fund manager. And then style can be issue based, means one criteria I can choose. For example, in this case was AI. I want to make anywhere I invest. If it is an AI company, that AI company is doing ethical AI, right? It should be company focused effort. So it could be either issue based or it could be either company. Clear? So there are passive investors, which is generally is the much larger investor nowadays. You must have heard of what called passive investment, right? Now, those kind of passive investors are generally often engage with issue-based engagement. They identify. So who engage in issue-based? Remember this can be part of question. It could be mostly passive investor, like example, there are a lot of now index-based fund. Correct, Subodhji?
Yes, sir.
And then वो लोग passive investment करते हैं because they don't know where I'm investing. They are just investing in your NSE index, irrespective of which company is there at that point in time. I don't care about them. So they will be engaging issue-based. They cannot go and take each company and talk to each company. They can take one issue and say that if this company is following that issue, If this company is environmentally conscious, I will be investing. So, and I want to address that issue. If any of my investee company is playing with environment, I am concerned. So I will tell in my investment thesis that, look, I am ready to invest in any company in this NSE, but those company has to, for me, environmentally conscious. That's the issue-based investment. If it is a company-based investment, of course, I will talk about that your company should be doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Active investor particularly are those who invest through company-focused investment. Clear? They engage with portfolio companies. They will sit on the investor call, aiming to improve the practice across ESG issue in that company. But issue, जो passive investor है, वो one issue पकड़ेगा ESG का, and on that only he will be making sure all of his investee companies are working. ठीक है? This is basically to give you an idea that what are those different styles which are available at our disposal. Now, effective engagement requires little more effort. There is a form of engagement. So there is a style of engagement, which we learned in the last page. Now we are learning a form of engagement. How to do it? Tell me practice. Don't tell me theory. Issue based. Issue based, of course. ESG का एक issue लेके invest करना है. But how to do that? Also, I need to know. And this is that table, very interesting table. I want everybody to check in the book, not from here. Okay. I'm going to explain it, but you need to check in the book. And what's the time now? Okay. Okay. So now let's look into those effective engagement, different forms. A style we have seen. Now we are looking into forms and how to set the goal so that all of your investee company or your company management is aligned with your thought process. Specifically, investment forums identify following 12 forms of engagements, including individual and collaborative. Means one by one, कैसे approach किया जाए, or how to do it collaboratively. Means with dialogue, means putting all those people also into consideration. So there are 12 forms which is listed here. What are those 12 forms? Generic letter भेज के, tailor letter बना के, informal discussion you are doing, collective engagement means sitting with them. Apart from your committee meetings, you are sitting outside on a coffee table and discussing about what exactly I should be focusing in this quarter meeting. Up to that, it has been explained in this table. आप समझ रहे हैं how detailed it is gone and telling you exactly how to do it, in which case. If you want to have clear objective, which is success factor number 1, success factor number 1 in engagement is that you have to have a specific and targeted objectives of your outcome. जो भी ESG का आपने इशू बेस कर रहे हो या कंपनी बेस कर रहे हो, कंपनी बेस कर रहे हो मतलब ऑल ESG फैक्टर्स यू विल बी कंसिडरिंग एंड डिस्कसिंग विद देम कि आपको एनवायरमेंटल में क्या करना है, आपको सोशल में HSC में क्या करना है, आपको गवर्नेंस में क्या क्या करना है. All you are going to discuss with the company, right? Under company discussion, under issue discussion, you have taken one and you are following DEI. ये मेरे को आपकी कंपनी में इम्प्लांट करा के चाहिए, right? That is my this year agenda. So success factor of engagement starts with that. Do you have that clarity कि आपको चाहिए क्या? So that will come from the issue based and company based. अगर issue based है तो only one outcome I want. Company based है तो I want a complete transformation of ESG. So if you want to do that, that is on the x-axis. Top पे आप देखोगे ना तो वो 7 different 6 are here, another 6 will be on another page. Now those forms are where your focus is. So clear objective is the one part, which is specific and targeted objective. Second is strategic and governance led goals. Strategic and governance led goal is your second target. That I want that outcome should be without any corruption. Perfect. Without any corruption. And last but not least, in success factor of engagement, they talk about is bespoke engagement approaches. Bespoke means you are doing it live. Anybody who understand bespoke? Very common word nowadays, isn't it?
bespoke तो AI आजकल बहुत यूज करता है,
हाँ,
जिसका
सब जगह
tailored kind of a thing.
bespoke solution, bespoke discussion, right? It's common now. Very common word. Everybody is using all across. Bespoke means practice based, right? It is effective and
Tailored, customized.
customized for the specific company wherever you are doing. So based on that also you can design. Then you can have a clear leadership in collaboration. Okay. So that is the characteristics of the investor grouping and approaches. ग्रुप करके जब आप अप्रोच करते हैं तो आपकी लीडरशिप एस्टैब्लिश होनी चाहिए इन दैट कोलैबोरेटिव डिस्कशन. मीनिंगफुल कॉलिशन एट ए स्केल होना चाहिए, मीन्स यू आर एबल टू कवर ऑल योर स्टेक होल्डर एंड अ प्रायर रिलेशनशिप एंड कल्चरल अवेयरनेस आपके पास होनी चाहिए जिस भी आप जुडिक्शन में जा रहे हो. फॉर एग्जाम्पल, यू आर सिटिंग इन दिल्ली एंड यू आर ट्राइंग टू कम एंड मेडल विथ अ कंपनी इन चेन्नई. I need to understand the sensitivity there. Are you with me? That cultural sensitivity has to be there. Then only you can get them, all of them together, so that they can follow whatever you are talking about in ESG. Right? Challenges are there as well in this engagement, in forms, creating these forms and putting, goals, setting the goal. What is that? That resource constraint will be there. Due to large number of companies in your portfolio, there will be resource constraint. You are alone. There are 20 companies if you are only board of director, and if you are investment company director, you might be investing in 100 of company. Do you have time to meet all of them? Impossible. 365 ही day है ना, 200 day working होता है, 250 day max होता है manufacturing में. But 250 days, 100 people to meet is impossible. They might be in different places, different country, different jurisdictions, etc. So that is number one challenge and constraint. Second one is operational challenge, as defining engagement scope and framing the topic itself is a difficult task. आपने देखा है, right? E में 100 point है, S में 200 points है, G में another 100 points है. All these are factors, right? Which we need to be covering some point in time, so that my company either realizes the opportunity linked to it or risk linked to it. And that itself becomes a massive ask for an engager or a steward to follow it. So he cannot take everything, right? He can take 1 or 2 or 3 or 10, 20 points, and that much only he can cover in one, even committee discussion. Forget about apart from committee discussion. And this is even in Indian Company Act, it is allowed, right? It recommends that you should meet all other independent director outside of the committee discussions as well. See their sensitivity, understand them, and then come and do the decision making. Then it will be a coherent decision making for the benefit of company. Last but not least, developing a process, clear process, how to engage with them. For example, I will write Warren Buffett, everybody must have seen, he has written a letter to all his investors that he is leaving CEO-ship of Berkshire Hathaway. Correct or wrong?
Yeah, by this year end, he is moving out.
हाँ, उनका 40,000 लोगों ने attend किया, and it was quite a big event. He always that kind of event in Oklahoma, right? So he did this time, and he has relinquished his CEO seat. Point here is he does a writing of his to all his stakeholder all the time. That's his formal way to show the stewardship with all the stakeholder. He writes it. One circular is always coming from him, which he writes it for last 25 years. He is doing it consistently. And his company, wherever he invests, performs more than 20% consistently. और आपने सुना होगा compounding effect. That's why he is the one of those guys, which is called as Oracle of Omaha. So this is how you should be doing the first part. Second part is strategy and tactics, which you will be using for this goal setting. Again, this table. So this chapter is all about tables, okay? So at least go and check those tables because you will learn enough from those tables. Clear? Somebody wants to do a presentation. I think we should be doing that. Somebody should take 1 or 2 table and detail it that क्या strategy वहां पे है. So किस situation में what a independent director or investor or asset owner should be engaging with his other partners. कर सकते हैं क्या हम लोग?
पुरानी किताब से नया किताब से है आपका?
ये पुराना किताब है.
हाँ, क्योंकि मैच नहीं कर रहा आपका ना, इसलिए मैं
इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ कि आप लोग उसको ले लीजिए. इसलिए
नई किताब में ये शायद आपका एग्जिबिट 4 है.
एग्जिबिट
4 है ये.
ओके, आई विल चेक दैट कौन सा एग्जिबिट है.
नहीं, मैंने एक किताब खोली हुई है साथ में.
अच्छा, आपके सामने ही है तो फिर ठीक है. एग्जिबिट 4 है तो इसमें 3 है तो एक और ऐड हुआ है. फिर एग्जिबिट क्या है? वो थर्ड एग्जिबिट.
वही है सर, है तो यही है, कंट्रास्टिंग रिसेप्शन. वो आपका सक्सेस फैक्टर वाला है ना, जो आपने पहला एग्जिबिट लिया.
अच्छा, वो था
3
अलग.
बन गए, वो 3 बन गए.
अच्छा, वो 3 बन गया तो 1 नंबर फिर इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ होगा या सेकंड
आपका
नंबर?
1 चेंज हुआ है.
1 चेंज हुआ है. क्या है 1?
एक मिनट खोलने दीजिए जरा. एग्जिबिट 2 तो जो है वो स्टूवर्डशिप कोड है.
एग्जिबिट 2 इज टुवर्ड्स.
2020 का जो कोड है ना,
This actually is done in January. Now I recall probably. Yes, this is January.
तो स्टूवर्डशिप कोड जो है वो एग्जिबिट 2 पूरा उसने बना दिया है.
ओके, उसमें तो
2020
ये
का.
हुआ, आई थिंक पहले भी था. सो नंबर 1 चेंज हुआ है फिर.
हाँ, फिर नंबर 1 में है उसका दैट सिलेक्टेड selective examples of the escalation, online retailer, customer service, food, bank. ये शायद नया हो.
Okay. So something has changed. That's why 1 has increased. Yeah, 1 has increased. So now point is कि किसी ने इसको लेना चाहिए और एक प्रेजेंटेशन करना चाहिए. तो 4 तो एग्जिबिट है ना.
हाँ, 4 है.
Let's take 1 each. 5 minutes से 10 मिनट लगेगा, उससे ज्यादा नहीं लगेगा. What we need to discuss it, how to engage, what are those strategies which we can adopt, right? And this will help us to remember it. सबको याद हो जाएगा अगर आपने उस पर प्रोजेक्ट कर दिया तो. Can we do that in the next session? क्योंकि ज्यादा है नहीं इसमें कुछ कवर करने के लिए. ऑफ कोर्स इवन दो इट्स ओल्ड मॉडल व्हिच आई एम रेफरिंग टू, बट इसमें है नहीं. और 2 चैप्टर है जो मुझे कवर करनी है. मैं खत्म कर दूंगा अभी के अभी, लेकिन फिर रजनी जी बोलेंगे कि यू वेंट इनटू टू मच ऑफ स्पीड.
एक बार पढ़ने दीजिए ना सर.
इसीलिए बोल रहा हूँ ना, कैन वी डू वन एग्जिबिट बाय 1 पर्सन. लेट मी स्टार्ट गिविंग द टास्क.
कर सकते
भास्कर जी,
Yeah.
exhibit 1, can you do it?
Yeah.
Okay, done.
Which one? Exhibit?
1.
Okay.
Subodh
I
ji.
do exhibit 4. मैं exhibit
Ajay,
4.
you will do exhibit 4. Okay, done.
2.
Subodh ji, can you do exhibit 2?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Ramesh ji, you have not done any presentation. You are coming very infrequently to the session. So, will you do exhibit 3?
Yeah, I'm in office.
करेंगे कब सर, करेंगे कब?
आप बताइए कब करना है.
वीक्स में ही करेंगे ना, वीकडेज में ही करेंगे.
वीकेंड में करते हैं ना कि वीकडे में करना है?
तो थोड़ा टाइम
Then
कम है
weekends
सर.
will be better.
वीकडेज आर बेटर क्योंकि थोड़ा टाइम मिल जाता है हम लोगों को उसमें.
तो
वीकेंड्स में
मंडे
पढ़ाई
करें,
करते रहते हैं.
नेक्स्ट मंडे.
आप कर सकते हैं मंडे को.
ओके, डन. नेक्स्ट मंडे सेम टाइम.
आप बाकी लोगों से भी पूछ लीजिए, मेरे को तो मंडे को खास काम
आप
नहीं है.
ओके, यू आर ओके, एवरीबॉडी विल बी ओके. नेक्स्ट मंडे,
ऐसा नहीं.
मंडे
बाकी लोग
मंडे और ट्यूसडे. ओके, वी विल गेट इट अ वोटिंग डन. मंडे या
वोटिंग
ट्यूसडे
करें.
वीक विल लेके कर लेंगे. डन है, नो वरीज. ओके, वीकेंड नहीं करके वीकडे में करते हैं. डन है. Now, what is covered here is that in a strategy, we have to see the engagement strategies. Again, for corporate perspective and investor perspective has to be different. Why? Because investor will have more than 100 investment. So he will have, and he might not have time to engage. But when you are in corporate interaction, maximum you are doing is 20. So you have little more time compared to the investment perspective. So
कौन सी प्रेजेंटेशन? हम आपकी प्रेजेंटेशन नहीं
you are not able to see it. Okay.
You are only there.
Can you see it now?
हाँ, अब ठीक.
Okay. So my point was that to develop this strategy and tactics in order to set the goal, for a smooth operation in the company, specifically in regards to that they become or you become a steward to that company or they have a stewardship in their company and there is an engagement between you and the company, you have to always look through the two side of it. One side is investor perspective, another side is corporate perspective. Now, how to do it is, of course, in next session, I'm going to listen from Rajni. But what I'm trying to indicate here that you have to understand there are engagement strategies where your prioritization of crucial topics are important. Involving identifying company needing engagement and prioritizing issue with the dialogue. So you have to find out those engagement issues which you can prioritize and have or require a dialogue. Second is there is a behavior changes which will be inherited in the investor or corporate actions. What is that behavioral changes which is required? That working in an investor coalition where there are other investors also and they have their own thought process towards ESG or non-ESG agendas, they might not be coming to the same consensus. So you have to also build a consensus in your coalition first and then come and implement it to your investee companies. Are you with me? So that's the behavior challenge. Third is that competition and collaboration. As a stewardship gains prominence, competition among service providers have increased. Again, here I'm talking about asset owner, which is LIC, SDFC, which is the fund provider, and then there are service providers as well. And so the service provider of proxy services you must have heard, right? There is a competition between them as well. So one proxy provider will say, these are my 5 agenda I want to implement under ESG. Another proxy guy will say, I have following 5 agenda which might be different than yours. And then again, collaboration between these two also is very important because they can compete to each other. They can think that my agenda, because I am a issue-based investor, I am a passive investor. आप समझ रहे हैं, म्यूचुअल फंड का अलग इंटरेस्ट है, इक्विटी वालों का अलग इंटरेस्ट है, राइट? ट्रेडिंग एसोसिएशन का अलग इंटरेस्ट होगा, जो हेज फंडर्स हैं या ट्रेडर्स हैं, डे ट्रेडर्स हैं, एंड ऑल ऑफ देम कमिंग टुगेदर एंड अग्रीइंग टू ओनली वन एजेंडा इज डिफिकल्ट. सो हाउ टू एंगेज देम is that strategy and tactics which we have to learn, right? And we will listen from Rajni ji on this next session. Last two part is all about effective engagement strategy. What are those effective engagement strategy which has to be put in place? Setting clear objective is a crucial for effective engagement. You have to have clarity that these are those 5 or 10 points which I want to address in next 2 years in this company, so that the company has that value, long-term value focus. Remuneration, principal agency problem, corruption, code of ethics, anything it could be. But those objective has to be there upfront, which we did in the last 2 chapters. Setting clear objective is crucial for the effective engagement, and ensuring a dialogue serves that specific purpose. And thereby you have to identify those particular objectives where dialogues are essential and do that dialogue so that the purpose of a specific purpose of that particular goal or objective is met. Rather than you are just acting as an engager or a steward, you need to follow these steps for effective engagement. Outcome evaluation is another way you can implement a strategy for effective engagement. Because mere activity that, okay, I'm going for this meeting, let me meet all the independent directors before that in hotel, but without measuring that before I met in the hotel all these independent directors, and then we went next day and we saw our voting, still it was completely different than each other. That will give me a realization that outcome is not happening. All activity I'm doing, but there is no outcome. And thereby, you have to assess if the objective which I have set in the beginning has met Did it enhance the client confidence, or the wherever the investee company operating, did it increase? Or the even independent director, did they get a confidence in my thought process, whichever I had, or did I got their thought process beforehand? So I can respect their ideas as well when they are talking about it. Or I want to go against their idea because they are not talking right. Both the cases, by engaging through dialogue, will enable you. Or even in sometimes, mostly we do it in the board meeting itself, right? We do not meet them earlier. And slowly we debate, reason, and then we agree to somebody's point of view. Not everybody's point of view we agree in the board meeting. Similar goes for investment companies. So clear objectives are those requirements here which will facilitate your agenda setting, focusing discussion on key issue, and aid in identifying the appropriate company representative which you want to engage later on based on the nature of the matter. You can pinpoint, okay, this is related to only finance department. Let me engage not CFO directly to manager there. And this is one of the strategies, by the way, which you who as an investor or an asset owner can engage with. Right? You can tell in the board that I want to, going forward, next 3 months, I want direct understanding from this guy. Give me for 2 days. And here again, style issue-based and company-based matter. Why? Because engagement typically starts with the company secretary, the CS, or investor relation team, which will be taking your ideas, followed by discussion with the board committees, chairs like audit committee. If it is matter related to finance, of course, audit committee. If it is related to remuneration, nomination, and remuneration committee, NRC. So that's how the steps will be there. And again, these steps are derived from the issue-based or company-focused. For example, if I am only focusing DEI, so all company representative working under NRC, I will call them and I will ask them, are you paying your women employee equal? Not. Then get me that matrix in the next quarterly meeting. Is this example is good enough? Right? This is issue-based because I am only related with DEI. If I am related with environment, whom I will be meeting? Tell me, guys. Whom I will be calling from each of those company?
Sustainability officer.
Sustainability officer or HSC officer.
HSC officer.
Only these two people. I will not go anywhere else. I don't want CFO. I don't want operation manager. Don't want CEO in that meeting. I will be only talking to these guys and see that they implement it. Meeting can be held either at the corporate office or investment firm's office. Anywhere it is allowed under Stewardship Act, Mr. Stewardship Code. It is written. With the occasional side visit also, you are allowed to go and do side visit. Even in Indian Company Act, it is written that you should be allowed and given access to any site you want to visit under induction program. But later on, वो जाने ही नहीं देते independent director को. ठीक है? But
आप रोक नहीं सकते सर. हमारे यहाँ तो पूरा चेक करते थे वो लोग. आप रोक नहीं सकते उनको. You will have to arrange.
Very good. So that is how it should be. Absolutely, this is the stewardship code. Effective engagement requires active listening. Again, this is a style how you will be engaging. Style is what? Active listening. You cannot, communication skill is also listed in one of the exhibit. Okay, how to engage with them in that meeting when you are taking up the meeting. Aligning the action with company best interest is your focus. Demonstrating industry knowledge to build a relationship, and finally persuade them that look, whole world is following it. Try to follow it. Or whole America is following it, changing their brand name, saying from DEI to culture. Let's change it. This is our duty to do. Effective engagement should have escalation engagement. Escalation option, which includes more meeting with the management and expressing our concern through advisors there. Meeting with the board members, right? And collaborating with other institutions so that issue gets resolved. It requires more meeting, and that's how I should be engaging. I cannot wait for the next quarterly meeting to engage with them. In between, सारे meeting करो, escalate करो matter को. Traditional method involves engaging a stakeholder, requesting audits, going public with concern, pursuing legal action even if required, and then considering divestment if they are still not listening to you. You have to get out of that company. Same goes with independent director. Exactly same process is there, right, in Indian Company Act. That first try to engage with other stakeholder, convince the board. Request for audit if they are not listening to you. Go and then go in public, write a letter, open letter. Who is stopping you? Write a letter to SEBI saying that, look, I want to resign. And even though they don't agree to that and still they are not relieving, put up legal action that, boss, this company is harassing me now. I want to leave and they are not letting me go. Worst case scenario, divest. Okay, I do not want to come. I'm putting that resignation. I'm putting that, divestment theory where I will not be part of this company at all. So escalation is a strategic process which elevates the engagement, guided by the objective which you set in the beginning. Resource limitation will be there, so you have to consider that. You cannot engage with all, even though you have 2-3 people with you, still they can't go to all meetings. And aiming that there is a prompt change is necessary. So you have to do that priority as well. That priority list is very important. Okay, which company or which issue I am going to focus first. And I need to get the result. If I'm not getting the result, I will be out of that company. Collective engagement is another way to have the effective engagement, which is viewing the resource efficient can be informal through organized platform. Organization and coalition support collective engagement such as climate action 100+. You can join such kind of groups so that collective force can come. PRI collaboration platform is also available if you are in a mostly in investment companies or any financial institution company. You can also become a PRI body, and if you are not becoming, at least go to their collaboration platform and engage them that come to my company, do awareness session, tell them what is right, what is wrong. As a responsibility I will be taking, and that's how I will bring all others, because this is a platform, right? So another investor will be also there. So he will come to know, oh, that company is coming for awareness session in this company because Rajniji has asked. So they will also come and join. Okay, what's going on, Rajniji? Which issue you are trying to push here? Is it climate? Is it social? Is it governance? Can we be party to it? And you become collaborative. Commercial and non-commercial stewardship vehicle offer requires collective management engagement services. Challenges here also includes, which is coordination. You have to have time to do that coordination and regulatory compliance. If the country has a lax regulations, then you will be ineffective. There is one case study as well, which was for the impact of PRI collaboration. Who wants to do that? अंशिका को पकड़ा देंगे ये, ठीक है? Let her do it. और ये उसी में सुन के लेंगे हम लोग.
ये ब्राजील वाला है ना, ब्राजील वाला लेबर का लेबर
आपने किया है. डोमिनी सोशल इन्वेस्टमेंट कंपनी वाला था जो पुश कर रहा था, न्यूकोर और डोमिनी अग्रीमेंट रीच किए थे, वो वाला है. ठीक है. सो नाउ स्पेशल कंसिडरेशन इज प्रॉक्सी वोटिंग. Proxy voting has to be understood. First, about what is the importance of voting, all of us know. Just for revision purposes, the shareholder have this right to vote at general meeting where resolutions are passed on majority support. That's what the voting means. The proxy voting is that where most investor appoints their proxy because they do not have time or can join all the board meetings. They appoint a proxy to vote on their behalf. Yeah, and these are now legal companies there. At a meeting, or your colleague can be your proxy voting. Another investment company who has enough muscle, they will be my proxy. To do what? To vote against those resolutions which is in the favor of ESG. And here company like ISS is very well known. Glass Lewis is very well known. Who gives the advisory that what we should be voting today on ESG requirements. Factors which are influencing voting decision are voting decision reflect concern about capital structure, board effectiveness, audit process, executive pay, and sustainability reporting. These are the major 5 areas where proxy voting generally is happening right now. All other area I want to get engaged with. If there is a fraud, I want to vote myself. If there is a divestment, I want to vote myself. But when they are talking about restructuring the capital, board effectiveness is not working fine. So they bring new board members. Let proxy handles it. Audit process is not good enough. Let proxy handles it. Executive pay is too high. Let proxy handle it. Or sustainability report is not done well. proxy voting can be relied on. What is that mechanism? Visibility and alignment through the proxy voting happens. It happens through shareholder vote at the meeting, where appropriate representation based on the shareholding happens. A special resolution may require higher support, and proxy voting facilitated by companies like ISS and glass levies nowadays is common. So if you are an investor in a company and you want your rights are protected, specifically in sustainability, you can just call ISS on your behalf. They will also vote. ISS is a body, if you know, ISS is a body which also does rating, etc. ESG rating. Okay. So that is why they are the right body. They understand the sustainability very clearly. Voting decision, especially the major ones, receive significant media coverage as well. That's why you have to make a consensus decision, holding fund manager accountable in this case. If you are a asset owner, then fund manager should be accountable for that. Voting aligns with investment thesis and stewardship agenda, which you have already established in terms of goal, reflecting that concern of the various aspects like capital should be properly deployed, board should be effectively working, audit should be proper in place, executive pay should not be too uneven, and sustainability report should be properly, transparently prepared. And here comes the asset classes which you need to consider. Which asset class person will engage how? Because going forward, all discussion you might get bored will be all about asset classes. Okay, so I'm just giving you that red झंडी कि थोड़ा सा आपको focus रखना होगा next class onward. Why? Because now everything will be related to asset class, not lot of board of director discussion will be happening. In next 3 sessions, 7, 8 and 9. Are you with me? तो थोड़ा boring लगेगा, इसके लिए आपको पढ़ के आना होगा. So can I expect that all of you will read at least the table of content, etc. before you come in the class? Next onwards, ये चलेगा. Next में तो ऐसे ही presentation कर रहे हो आप. उसके बाद से जो 3 हैं वो क्योंकि totally financial है, तो भास्कर जी might be able to relate. Rajni ji, Subodh ji, Ramesh ji, Anchika, etc. need to give little extra attention to it. Otherwise, it will become too boring. Am I okay talking to you in this language? That is okay with you, right?
नहीं ठीक है सर, जो सर का
जो boring होएगा.
नहीं.
I have seen the last
Yeah.
few classes.
नहीं, we'll come, we'll prepare. Yeah.
थोड़ा सा मतलब read करके आइएगा, then you can understand what is asset manager, what is this class he is talking about, what is that class. Even though you know it, but technical terminology will be required. And Ramesh ji, you have missed few classes, so I recommend watch those videos. Have you watched all the videos, or you are in company and busy?
I'm going to.
Okay. So do watch those, because now it's going to get messier. If you don't have read those chapters chapter factor, now I will be using to establish the value of company, analysis of company. So reference always will be those chapter. And then we are going to get our hand dirtier, right? And dirtier in terms of finances. So it's a hardcore finance discussion, even though I will make it very simpler, but you need to refer those chapters. So you might have the disadvantage if you don't watch those video in free time. और मैं तो recommend करता हूँ, it's hardly 15-17 videos. एक दिन बैठिए, 2x पे लगाइए, रोक के देखते चले जाइए. You will be ready for exam even if you do that before next 3 chapters. So next 1 week is your time that you complete reading it. Rajni ji and Subodh ji will have a challenge because they have a boot camp also going on. But you have an advantage, you don't have a boot camp. So do that at least if you have missed any of the videos, or take a book and just slide it through. You have a lot of other material which will enable it to go faster. For example, flashcard, only 25 question answer you do and you are done with that chapter. Okay, do that, at least read the flashcards and summaries before you come for the next session. Next session to presentation hai only. I have closed today. I don't want to close this chapter in one day. That's why I ask people to do presentations. So they will get engaged with this chapter. They will get time to read this chapter if they have not read. Few of you must have read, right? But who has not read, I am giving them time. Otherwise, I could have gone straight to 7th number chapter next week. But I'm giving you guys time and getting you engaged with this chapter. Don't take it lightly. This I will be using all of our lives. Okay, so this is a recommendation to you, Ramesh ji, and everyone. So please focus there. Let's close this part, which is related to asset classes. Now, as you can say, there are several asset classes which are available for you as an investor or a board member to take decision on. If you are a board member of LIC, National Pension Fund, or PFRDA, IRDA, any of these guys who are really large, they will have all this asset class engaged because they will be investing in all of this area. Are you with me? That is why asset class understanding is important, which I am just introducing this session, but going forward, we'll be only talking in that language. I will make it simpler. I will make it very normal for you. You will recall it very easy, but still, if you don't read and come, you will think, oh, Vivek is talking rocket science. Now he's talking mathematics. Yeah, let's not understand. So I want you to remove that barrier and then you will learn fast. Now let's understand asset class engagement, how to do with different asset classes, which kind of engagement. So there are several asset classes, but three are well known, broadly categorized. Give me those three names which are broadly categorization of assets where we do investment.
Bonds.
Bonds, equity, these two are common. And last one, just club at them all together, alternatives. Three. Simple rakhte hain. What are three? Equity, bonds, alternative. These are the major asset classes. Now, each of these asset classes can have a different format. For example, bond can have a corporate bonds, but you also know there is a government bonds. G-SEC in India will say, right? GSEC. In America, it's a T-bills. T-bill, treasury bills, right? In Germany, it's bunds, 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 right? So every country had so nomenclature, but generally it is what? Either government bond or corporate bond or corporate fixed income I am referring here. Clear है? सो डेट में आपको दो बता दिया मैंने. तीसरा क्या होता है? फिक्स्ड डिपॉजिट भी होता है, वो सब भी छोटी छोटी ट्रेजरी बिल भी होता है, मनी मार्केट भी होता है, ये सब भी होता है. ट्रेजरी बिल्स भी होते हैं, राइट? वो अप टू 364 डेज, 1 days to 364 डेज के लिए आप लेते हो. अब तो इवन इन आरबीआई यू कैन डू इट ऑन द ऐप. यू वांट टू बाय अ बॉन्ड, ऐप डाउनलोड करो और अपना खरीद लो. अब वहां जाके सर्टिफिकेट लेने की जरूरत ही नहीं है, कोई सॉफ्टवेयर भी डाउनलोड करने की जरूरत नहीं. डायरेक्ट आरबीआई का सॉफ्टवेयर डाउनलोड करिए एंड बाय अ बॉन्ड. दे हैव मेड इट सो सिंपल इन इंडिया नाउ. एवरीबडी शुड बाय. एटलीस्ट फिक्स डिपॉजिट से अच्छा है वहां रखो. तो गवर्नमेंट तो बैंकरप्ट नहीं होने वाली. आफ्टर वॉर हो जाने दीजिए, उसके बाद डालिएगा. ठीक है, अगर हो रहा है तो. आई होप इट डजंट हैपन, बट हो रहा है तो. Okay, now, so we have these three major criterias in debt. You have equity. इक्विटी में दो टाइप होता है. एक होता है पब्लिक इक्विटी, सेकंड होता है प्राइवेट इक्विटी. प्राइवेट इक्विटी मतलब कोई भी कंपनी जिस लिस्टेड नहीं है, पब्लिक मतलब जो लिस्टेड है. थर्ड एरिया है दैट इज कॉल्ड अल्टरनेटिव इन्वेस्टमेंट्स. अल्टरनेटिव में क्या क्या आता है? इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, रियल एस्टेट मतलब प्रॉपर्टी, फंड्स ऑफ फंड्स, राइट? म्यूचुअल फंड्स, ऑल आर अल्टरनेटिव. Anything, crypto, you name it, anything which is not in these two categories, they are alternative. यहां तक किसी को कोई confusion asset classes में? I'm just checking. I know you, everybody knows it, but just checking. Say yes or no. अगर है confusion तो tell me, so I will again explain.
बस 3 क्लासेस आपने बता दिया.
3 क्लासेस बता दिए, तीनों के अंदर में
तो
क्या क्या आता है वो भी बता
और
दिए.
एक अदर्स हो गई.
बस खत्म बात है. अब आते हैं किसी को भी ट्रबल, रमेश जी, because he is into sustainability full time, so might be he is not doing a stock market. So whoever doesn't do a stock market, they might have a problem. I hope he doesn't have a problem.
Sorry.
Do you do a stock market?
What was the question? Sorry.
Sorry?
Yeah, not active, only the alternatives. Mutual fund.
You do only mutual fund. You don't do stock and bond market.
Only the
Okay, clear. But fixed deposit you must be doing, right?
Yeah, everyone does.
कुछ लोग होते हैं रजनी जी, वो भी नहीं करते हैं. So, okay, if you do fixed deposit, that is debt. Just understand, it's not debt, but kind of debt to the bank. Because you are giving it to the bank, right? And he is obliged to give your money back plus interest. So it's a debt to the bank. not to you. Okay, so that is on. Second is home loan is another debt. It's another type of debt. But we are talking about broadly two type of debt. One is bond, which is company bond, and another one is G-Sacks or treasury bills, which is souvenir bonds. Clear? So this is one type. Equity में two types, listed company and unlisted company. If it is listed, public equity, unlisted, private equity, and then you have alternatives. How to engage these guys, what we are learning here, not what kind of assets they are, but you need to know them. That's why I have explained it. Clear? Now, how to engage with all of them? Let's have some common factors. The first one is stewardship code. I have to apply, irrespective of which asset class, I will always follow the stewardship code. Correct? First. Second general principle is engaging with private equity. I have to understand that engaging with private equity involves general partner addressing the ESG issue. Now, what is general partner? If nobody knows that, let me explain it. If everybody knows it, still I will explain. General partner, generally in private equity firms, there are two parties. Private equities are those companies which collects money from HNIs and then they invest in certain companies, startups, large company, acquisition, dying company. These guys comes and invest. So there are two parties where the fund come for them. How they come? They get it from, how they get it? They get it from the limited partners, which means 10 lakh sab kharid sakte hain. If you have attended any of the wealth management offices, you must have seen. They will not entertain you if you don't have 50 lakh rupiah. Minimum आपके पास 50 लाख होना चाहिए, then only you can sit in those fancy offices of headquarters of any bank, wealth management offices, right? तो 50 लाख है, तो आप वो 10 लाख उनके साथ जमा करेंगे. You are a limited partner now. Same like mutual fund. Mutual fund is a similar concept. Limited partner and general partner. General partner is that mutual fund company, for example, SBI, and limited partner you, which is buying 500 का script. SIP कर रहे हो ना 500 का, तो आप जनरल, आप लिमिटेड पार्टनर हो गए, बिकॉज यू आर लिमिटेड टू 500, you are not responsible for all other money. But this guy who is taking money from you is a general partner, because he will charge a cut from your mutual fund every month. Expense ratio बोलते हैं उसको, right? Mutual fund में expense ratio बोलते हैं, private equity में भी say them 2+20 का concept आता है, जहाँ वो commission लेता है, incentive लेता है. Right? So that's how the private equity works. Clear? So engagement with private equity generally means that you are engaging with the general partner, the owner of that private equity. The not owner, the operator of the private equity. Clear? Owner तो सारे लोग हैं ना. आप भी owner ही हो. आप 500 रुपए दो, 1000 रुपए दो, 50 लाख रुपए दो. आप owner हो 50 लाख के वर्थ के. तो but उस fund के. And but the discussion is all about GP, the general partner, the SBI, the Franklin Templeton, all those companies. Third is infrastructure company के engagement के लिए you need to focus on ESG consideration through asset economic lifetime. So you have to consider, am I investing in a road project? Am I investing in a nadi project? I am investing in a water tank project. I am investing in a residential project, commercial project. That economic life of that particular asset need to be seen. After it gets depreciated, we are not concerned about it, how they are dealing with it. But up to the economic life, I need to make sure that all ESG measures are in play. Last but not least, if it is a property-based asset class, then those property or real estate engagement linked to ESG positively affect the return. So remember that specifically in property and real estate, if you are engaging on ESG topics, which are positively adding to the return of your rental income, you should be only talking about that. You should not talk about putting lead in an old building where you have to demolish the building in order to get the lead. Are you with me? Economic return कम हो जाएगा ना, yield कम हो जाएगा. हाँ, जिस दिन वापस बनेगी वो building, then you can earn a yield, better rent, right? Because now it is a LEED certified building, so I will get better return. But after it will come back, बीच में कुछ हो गया तो correct है or wrong है? So that is how the property and real estate में little bit conscious you should be. Now corporate fixed income में 3 points. ESG impact on credit you have to see. Is the credit score of that bond is increasing by ESG impact or not? Need to be seen. Second, engagement priority has to be done. right? Is it a secured bond, unsecured bond? So what kind of engagement I have to be doing? Pre-issuance influence, before the bond is getting prepared and getting floated by IRDA, can I influence them? That boss, don't invest in Gensol. Are you with me? अभी केस करोगे ना तो सेम पॉइंट आई विल डिस्कस. अगर मैं बॉन्ड इरिडा ने इन्वेस्टमेंट के पहले ही इंगेज कर लिया होता जेंसॉल को तो आज ये सिचुएशन नहीं होती. बट इरिडा गया लेट. वो ट्रस्ट किया जो वहां पे इक्विटी इन्वेस्टर पहले से बैठे हुए थे, right? And he trusted, so there was no influence, and he lost the money. Souvenir date, which is a government ka date. This is corporate, right? So corporate you can handle by this. Government ones has a limited engagement. Can you engage with Modi ji on daily basis कि मैंने आपको $50 billion दिए, अब मेरे को आपसे मिलना है? मिलते हैं, मोदी जी उनसे मिलते हैं, बट वो भी एक दिन मिलेंगे ना. Can you tell him that no, every quarter I want to see you? बोलेगा you can be Warren Buffett, you can be George Soros, get out of my country. है कि नहीं है? Because he doesn't have time for you only, right? He has all other thing to do. So souvenir one bond may always remember, irrespective of country, their engagement will be very limited. ESG screening you have to do. Which country is better? So Costa Rica will be better. Correct or wrong? Denmark will be better. Because वो screening में आ जाएगा कि they are doing some good stuff. So let's not engage with India at this point in time. Because even though Modi ji will meet me, but can I influence him? No, I can't. So keep it out. Right? Emerging engagement also need to be seen कि नया engagement किस front पे किया जा सकता है. That could be your criteria. I want to invest in this country in 7-year bond, that this country might be growing 20% in road development, and I want to make sure all roads should be green. Then even though I don't want to engage with the overall government, but I want to engage with the souvenir debt which is coming for the road. NHI से मैं connect करूंगा. Private equity, again, private equity, we have told you that GP will be the responsibility. My responsibility is only the general partner, not the limited partner, which HNI, where he's sitting, what is his motive, I don't care. I only care the operator. Operator is general partner. Portfolio monitoring is another area in private equity which has to be seen, where the money is getting invested, which all companies I am investing. And governments, governance improvement is a critical part. Can I improve this governance in my portfolio company in private equity? That's how you engage. Last is infrastructure, which is broad ESG exposure has to be seen. You cannot see only one item, two item, but broad has to be seen. So issue based is difficult here. Engagement mechanism needs to be seen. Why? Because infrastructure generally do not impact only one side of the ESG. It in fact across. रोड बनेगा तो सोशल फायदा होगा, राइट? सारा गांव कनेक्ट हो जाएगा, गरीब लोग बेटर होंगे तो सोशल हो गया. और रोड बन रहा है, करप्शन बहुत ज्यादा है, तो राजीव गांधी वाला बात, 1 रुपया जाता है, 20 पैसे 10 पैसा ही का रोड बनता है. तो वो भी हमें देखना है. मैनेजमेंट एंगेजमेंट कर सकते हैं कि नहीं कर सकते, हैज बीन सीन. प्रॉपर्टी एंड फंड इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑलरेडी वी हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट. विद दैट वी हैव कम टू एंड ऑफ this chapter, which is the shortest of all. But still, I will dwell one more day. And that day, I have already done a voting for mock exam. We need to do a mock exam, which we will be doing either on Saturday or Sunday. उसके लिए भी एक voting करा देंगे. We need to do that, otherwise people will forget the concept, they will never read it. To force Ramesh ji to watch the video, we are creating now mock exam. रजनी जी बोलेंगे अरे वो तो ऐसे वाले थे आप.
Yeah, I'll get ready.
Saturday or Sunday,
Thank you.
we will have 1 hour
I'll get ready.
only dedicated, no training that day, only question answer, mock test. ठीक है? We'll have 45 different, 60 different questions, 45 to 60
From
different.
this chapter or the other chapters also?
First 3 chapter is coming. 6
One-
chapter मैंने cover किया. First 3 I am covering because environmental बड़ा है, that's why I am covering first 3. And next mock में next 3. And question will be tough. I'm telling you upfront. Okay? So be prepared accordingly. ठीक है? And then Sunday or Monday एक extra class लेके we will have this presentation done. And then we will move to chapter number 7 where the hands will start getting
कब होगा
detailed.
ये आपका टेस्ट कब होगा? Next week?
Sorry?
The mock test is happening when? Next week?
नहीं, this week. Saturday or Sunday, परसों.
परसों कैसे हो सकता है सर?
क्यों, मतलब क्यों नहीं हो सकता?
अरे सर पूरा दोबारा पढ़ना पड़ेगा सर। एनवायरमेंट बहुत बड़ा है, एनवायरमेंट बहुत बड़ा है,
हाँ,
एनवायरमेंट बहुत बड़ा है सर। एंड यू हैव आल्सो टेकन आई थिंक 7-8
चलो
courses.
संडे को करते हैं, संडे को करते हैं, संडे को करते हैं ना। नहीं नहीं, आप तो फिर स्पीड में नहीं आओगे। 2 घंटे 4 घंटे का लेक्चर है एनवायरमेंट में, 6 घंटा मैक्सिमम होगा। 3 लेक्चर हमने दिए वहां पे, राइट। एक प्रेजेंटेशन वाला सेपरेट है, प्रेजेंटेशन की जरूरत नहीं है, उस पर कोई क्वेश्चन वैसा नहीं आने वाला। थियरी करना है आपको, वो 3 हो गया। और पहला 2 चैप्टर आप समझते हो सब, एक बार दे के देखो हाउ द मॉक वर्क्स,
ठीक है।
ठीक है। एंड एटलीस्ट दैट विल बिकम योर टूल। संडे 1 o'clock मॉक विल स्टार्ट, 1:30 और 1 o'clock, वट एवर टाइम यू गाइज आर कंफर्टेबल, ठीक है। लिंक दे देंगे, आप लोग अटेम्प्ट करिए। लाइव करिएगा तो बेटर होगा, सो आई कैन गिव यू द फीडबैक। एवरीबडी रेडी? यस, सुबोध जी ने बोल दिया यस, तो यस। अनम्यूट ही नहीं हो रहे।
यस यस रमेश।
नहीं नहीं।
ठीक है, चलिए इवनिंग में मिलते हैं। टिल द टाइम टेक केयर, सबक खैर, बाय बाय।